Donkey Jaw Projects!
What is up, party people? This is Marshall Lee of Donkey Jaw Projects, and it looks like my camera's like hazy or something. It's weird. Why is that? Why is that? Huh. Maybe it's zoomed in? No. Huh. Weird. Anyways, today is day 59 out of 100 days of making comics, I think. And I did my comics worked for about an hour. I'm gonna very possibly do some more, I hope. But I got some other things to take care of too. So I want to get those done before I move forward. But I'm pretty excited. I kind of hinted a little bit to you guys about what I'm working on right now yesterday. I was kind of cut short, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Had a lot going on yesterday, but yesterday I ended up getting like 2 hours of comic work done, which is a lot for me. So, I mean, sometimes I get way more, and that's awesome, especially too, but it's pretty rare that I get even an hour or so done. But this week I noticed, I was looking at my time thing, and I actually got an hour or so in a few days this week. So I actually got some good time in this week, which is kind of surprising. But yesterday I got about 2 hours of writing in. Pretty much wrote my whole script for this story called Greener Grass. I think it's called Greener Grass. It's possible that it could even be called Mundane Monday. I don't know. You let me know what you guys think is a better title. I mean, they both kind of work for the concept. Greener Grass, I guess, works more. So yeah, obviously playing off that whole idea of the grass is greener on the other side and stuff like that. Again, very simple theme, very simple message, sort of. I mean, it opens it up to a few different things, but it's basically around that concept. But it's a fun exercise, I think, and, you know, I don't know, it's like, it's cool because this whole thing came really easily, which story writing actually does tend to come easy generally. I mean, with Glyph, it's a struggle for some reason. With some stories, it's a struggle, but part of it is because with those, I'm trying to, like, create characters in a way where they have, like, character arcs that make sense, backstories, like, there's world building, there's a lot more to something like that. This is just kind of a one and done story, and it's I don't even know if it, like, because some people don't consider certain things a story, even though they might be something that you read and it has a sequence of things that happen, and that, you know, there, even if there's a theme or whatever, like, some people don't consider it certain things a story, and this is like a quick maybe vignette of something. It's like a little more like a Twilight Zone episode maybe, but it's not like, it's not creepy or weird or surprise ending or anything too much. It's just, it's actually very simple and normal. It's weird, like, I come from, like, the 90s or whatever, like, wanting to draw these crazy, you know, superheroes with crazy powers and stuff like that, and now I'm, like, writing literally the most normal, typical guy, heartwarming, maybe, type of story. and you would think it's, like, not exciting. Like, it's so straightforward to a certain degree. But the thing that makes it exciting to me, and the thing that really sparked the whole idea, and I think I talked about this yesterday as well, is I was watching, what's that guy? I told you guys this guy's name recently. He's a comic book pro. He's been working for DC. I think his YouTube is Comic Artist Pro, or wait, Comic Pro Tips or something like that. Ethan Van Sciver, I think that's his name. That dude. He did a video recently, where he was talking about how much, how you get paid at a place like DC. And he broke it down and showed how you can actually make a really good living if you work really hard and stuff. Well, you can check out that video if you want. It's the one with the little dollar signs in my eyes. That was like a week ago, I think. So anyways, I've been watching a lot of videos on his channel. Really cool channel. Definitely go check his videos out. In fact, I will link you to, I'm thinking I'll link you to a playlist. So what I was watching was he does these brutally honest comic book critiques on the art, specifically in the storytelling and stuff, but not so much the writing, because a lot of times the dialogue's not even in these things yet. But and he's not trying to be a jerk. He doesn't mean like cruel. He means like brutally honest. Like, I want to be honest with you so you can learn and grow and get better, type of thing. But it's going to be honest, and it might hurt a little bit. Anyways, they're really good. Like, I'm learning a lot, and there's so much to talk about with that. But I will talk probably about it more later. But the thing that I got from it was one of the critiques that he had on a lot of people was their perspective, and he's showing how different panels are not in perspective, and how they're missing a lot because of that, and even some stuff that's really well rendered and looks great, because the perspective is wrong. It's just that much weaker, So I'm like, you know what? And the thing is he talks about it like perspective is pretty easy. Like, the concepts are pretty easy. You just need to work hard and learn it and just apply it, really. You just need to make sure you apply it, really, and get the basic concepts, and you can do a lot. Even with just 1 point perspective, you can do a lot in your comics. But if you go into 2 and 3 point perspective, you could do some other things too. But you really only need 1 point most of the time, if and just a lot of different things of placing your characters and just objects in the scene, all that stuff. And so he also has some videos that teach about perspective and stuff. So, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube and places you can learn perspective. It's a lot of times a simple concept, but it feels like it can get very complicated at times. Anyways, recently I had done a month of practicing on environments. Perspective environments and stuff like that. It's something I need to get a mastery over, because it's really like magical in some ways. It's almost like an amazing trick you can use on your comics to make them look awesome. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like a lot of people are afraid of using it and kind of fake it and mess it up, and it makes their work kind of look weaker. I've done it plenty of times. That's all I've pretty much done so far. I mean, there's been times I've given it a good try, and I maybe been successful to a certain degree. And also he talks about establishing shots and how it's important to have a lot of establishing shots and stuff like that. They might not be the most fun, but what I'm learning though is how actually important establishing shots are, and how exciting they can be. They can actually be some of your most fun panels. You can really do some cool things with establishing shots, and they might be kind of the type of panels that people just look at quickly and don't get super excited about, like not as excited as when you see like Superman punching a bad guy or something. But I don't know, like I don't know, maybe it's the artist in me or whatever, or just because I'm learning it, but I'm starting to realize that establishing shots can actually be some of the most exciting parts of comics. If you do some cool like dynamic perspective work and you just do it well, maybe if you make it either dense with like a lot of cool things, or just helping you to, in your storytelling, helping the reader to have a feel for where the characters are and what the environment is like, and setting a mood, setting I don't know. It just is really powerful tool in storytelling. So I'm excited about establishing shots, which I thought I would never say. And establishing shots are not just like, the first page of a sequence of events you put at the top along, panel that establishes where they're at. They're in this Batman, he's in the city, that type of thing. There's more, you're constantly establishing. There's definitely panels where you can knock out the background and you don't even need, you either do it in less detail or maybe even just kind of almost have a plain background or action lines, things like that. You don't need to have full detail on every panel, that's for sure, but it's good to have, a good mix of panels with establishing shot type of work, to help your storytelling, to help people understand where the character is at in the space that you're telling the story. There's just so much it can do. There's way more than I can even explain here or even have wrapped my head around yet. So I'm excited about that. Big long rant. I guess I have the time to do it today. Hopefully it's not too boring to you, but so I'm excited about that, and that's what was the impetus of this whole greener grass story. And it's so funny where stories come from. Like this one came from, I have to do better at doing perspective. So how can I write a story that's interesting and backgrounds that's interesting and accentuates that specific aspect of storytelling? So I can learn it, just do it so I can learn it. And then, maybe I can fit a story in there somewhere. So what I did come up with is just like this cool idea of like this normal guy, like walking through life kind of feeling like everything's mundane and routine and boring. But he's drawn very simply, like with very just like cartoony lines, very simple design, which I'm still trying to get the design down, and all like white, no like coloring or anything. He's supposed to look like he's just a black and white comic, not colored, basically. But then the environment all around him is rendered with like gray tones, and because I'm still keeping with the 12 stories is a black and white comic or a gray tone comic, not a color comic. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like I keep getting tempted to put color in, but then that'll change everything. So I don't know. And then I don't know, whatever. Anyways, so all the backgrounds are like really rendered and exciting and interesting, while he's just kind of like humdrum, like, oh, blah blah blah, whatever. It's another day, blah blah blah. And then that whole dynamic kind of changes here and there throughout the story in a couple interesting ways. And it all helps tell the story, and it all helps me to get better at perspective and environments. And I'm just super excited to make some stuff that might seem mundane look amazing and cool and awesome. And I think that the vision I have in my head for it, I feel like I don't have the skill to really pull it off, but I'm going to attempt it. And I'm just going to try to work really hard to make this happen. The thing that is cool, the thing that is coming quick is the writing. The script I finished today. Like I said, I wrote most of it yesterday. And then today I finished off the rest of it. And now all I'm going to do is take that same script. I mean, technically it's like a rough draft, and maybe I could have somebody look at it and, give me some critiques and stuff, but I'm looking to do tons of stories here, and 12 stories is a bunch of short stories, and I did that with Lizard Brain, and I'll probably do it with other things, but for this one, I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to take what I already have. It's pretty good, and I'm just going to break it up into pages and panels, and I'm going to start drawing it. That's it. And I haven't figured out what I want to do for like a cover for it yet. I'm not sure. Like I like with these covers to maybe reference some kind of cover. I don't know. That's what I've been doing lately. But maybe this will be a totally original type of cover for me. I don't know. We'll see. but it'd be cool if I can reference something because it's fun to do that. So yeah, but I'm really excited, and I don't even know how many pages this is going to be. I'd say it looks like it's probably 6 or 7 pages. As I seem to always do, I guess I've learned it from reading other comics. The last page is going to be like kind of a splashy page. And I did it with The Hitchhiker for the art and story, or the anthology. I did it for the Life in Space anthology, and I did it for the Attack of the Lizard Brain, and I'm doing it again here. I don't know. I should probably try to figure out other ways of ending comics that excite me, but for now, it's pretty much splash pages. I mean, sometimes they have some inset page panels within it, but it reads like a big splash page. So, and I think I'm gonna tone down on the paneling too. Like, it's probably gonna be a pretty simple paneling with a few little tricks here and there, but nothing like too crazy. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I will go crazy. I'm learning that I was very much influenced by the 90s comics with the crazy paneling, and I thought that was really cool. Recently, I made a comment about that, and a buddy of mine said, well, that's actually part of the old 90s stuff that I don't like. Like, it's too much and stuff like that. And that has stuck in my head, and I've gone back and looked at some of those comics, and while I do kind of agree, actually, a little bit. In some cases, the paneling is like every page is a splash page, and everything's exciting, and that means that nothing's exciting, you know? So in that way, I definitely agree. That being said, I do appreciate that they played with design a little more. And I don't want to cite certain specific things, but there are times where playing with that did make the comics really cool. So I think there's a middle ground there. I don't think, you have to totally throw it all out. I think that it's worth still studying. But it's good to, with any artist that you study, that's something I'm learning too. And I actually want to do some fan comics of like characters from creators that I really like, and maybe even try to imitate their style, like little comics, almost like ash cans maybe, or mini comics, just for fun, for study, and maybe to give away for free. I don't know, that's some other thing. But when you're studying an artist, there's things that the artist does well, the things that the artist does appealing, things that the artist does right, and there's things that they don't do well, and they don't do that's appealing, and they don't do that's right. And you can learn, and every single artist is like that, even the ones who you say Jim Lee, or I can't think of names right now, but Greg Capullo, or trying to think of other classic artists who are like, just seem like they're flawless, but I don't know, maybe like I don't know why I'm blanking on names right now, but some of these people who are classically trained and they're awesome, even Jack Kirby, but I think it's obvious, what he was good and wasn't good at to a certain degree. Although people say that they don't like his women, and I think his women are fine. I think they're pretty good, well done, I don't know. I could see what they mean, though. There's some kind of a stiffness to a certain degree. Maybe sometimes they look a little like guys, but I don't think it's always the case. Anyways, you can take and you can leave what you don't like, and I think it's always important to do that. So again, with the paneling in the 90s, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking the parts that I feel like are good, throwing out the stuff that I think is a little too much. And I'm actually surprised at what I think is too much. I was looking through some old Max comics, and I always loved the fact of how experimental Sam Keith was with his paneling. And there are aspects that I do like, but it's just, now that I look back at it, it's really a little bit too much a lot of times. It really is. It takes you out of the story, and the story is kind of non-existent anyways. Like, I love Sam Keith. I love that he explored things and expanded on things that people didn't do. But the stories were not that great. Like, maybe they were, maybe it was just too much over my head. I don't know. But to me, it was like, it was like all over the place, too much. But I love the art. And I love his exploratory nature. I still love his art. He's got a really great blog that he only updates once in a great while, but they're always really interesting and cool, and he shows off a lot of his process and stuff like that. Really cool. And I love his Marvel Comics Presents stuff. There's a bunch of covers I found of his. I got these comics there's like this Toxic Crusaders cover. I wonder if I have it. I might have it out. I could show you. That's really cool. Yeah, I do. Maybe I could show you some of this other stuff I'm talking about. I don't know. Look at this thing. I love it. Again, I don't know. Like, my phone doesn't want to focus today, or it's like hazy. Maybe if I flip it over. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of show and tell here. It's fun. It's Saturday. It's like Saturday morning cartoons. Time to have a little fun, right? So look at this. I mean, this cover is just Sam Keith having fun. I love the detail. I love the cartooning. It's just too fun, you know? Really cool. And then I was going to start talking about some paneling. I've been loving Gru. I have a bunch of these old comics. Sergio Aragones is just amazing. His covers are amazing. And look, like, his stuff is super dynamic, but very straight paneled. I love how they're kind of drawn into. They're not perfect, and I always like this technique where the balloon kind of opens up with the panel. That's always fun, in my opinion. Look, M&M's. Then he's got these big, Kirby-esque double page spreads a lot of times in his stories. This one's not even as crazy as a lot of them get. But all this crazy detail, I mean, you'd think, he's doing cartoony type stuff, but I mean, the detail he puts into everything, and he draws really fast too, from what I hear, or seen actually, demonstrated. I mean, simple paneling, but it looks beautiful, Look at this toy with the watch. I think I remember that. It turns into a watch. Transformers were freaking awesome. And that whole craze back then. See, this is actually pulled back, like, some of this stuff. You want to get some comics? You can order them with the Visa or MasterCard. Yeah, so this stuff is actually very simple stuff for him that he usually doesn't do such simple panels. There's usually a lot more going on, but he's telling a story, and you can see the storytelling is amazing. It's really cool. And then here's stuff that's more typical. You're going to see like all these people with all this detail. But I mean, look, he only breaks the panel once here, and should he do that or not? I mean, people talk about you shouldn't break the panel, but I think a little bit goes a long way, and it's fun. Here you go. Like, very simple, 5 to 6 panels per page, unless he's doing something specific with smaller panels. Then you got this one open panel here that's cool. I mean, this is comic book stuff at its best to a certain degree, I mean, look at this. I love this. These birds and stuff. You get the foreground, the background, and it's just fun. All the characters with all these. It's like, how did he come up with this? He didn't design all these characters. He just sat down at the page and drew them. I mean, this is a guy who had ridiculous experience doing this stuff, so he can do that. But really cool, really fun. Again, Gru always finding ways to help people, but that eventually lead to their destruction somehow. Gru is so awesome. I love him. Alright, so that's enough of that. This is just a really cool comic book cover. I mean, look at this. I need to find frames where I can display comic book covers, because I got a bunch of them that I really love. This is one of my favorite comic book covers, done by Joe Kubert. He's amazing. So cool. But this is just a little bit more classic, you know, stuff. I wanted to show you some of the paneling, just because it was happened to be within reach, basically. Lifesavers, yum. Yeah, very simple, but stuff still stands out. They find ways to make it stand out. Really cool. There's one page I wanted to, right here. I love this. I love how his afro's like sticking out there, and you know, it's just like this open panel. He's doing graffiti too, look at that. Slick. Really cool. And then there's a werewolf and stuff. I gotta read this comic. I don't think I actually have. This is one of my favorite comic books of all time. Another great cover introducing Bishop, which I thought was really cool idea. I never read much beyond this and a few other issues to like what happened with Bishop, but I'm very curious. And Whilce Portacio, this may be the comic that made me say Whilce Portacio is my favorite comic book artist for a long time. Pretty simple paneling here. Splash page. I never really loved that splash page. I didn't really get what was going on. I mean, I guess I got it, but like, I don't know. It's weird. It's just not that exciting to me. It's like too much. Everybody's fully costumed and it just doesn't feel natural. But the art's amazing. I always loved, like, I'm not focusing on this just because it's her boobs, but just I love that shading, that gradual shading he does. He does it everywhere, or did do it everywhere. You can see it on this guy's chest too. You can see it everywhere. It's cool. That's pretty cool. But again, it's a lot. It's a lot, you know, to take in with your eye. I remember actually Whilce Portacio specifically saying each page should have one intentional focal point. And yeah, I'd say this is probably the focal point, although other things are interesting. This little sequence is helpful in storytelling. You can see the progress of what's going on. Establishing shots a little bit to a certain degree. Establishing shot to a certain degree. There's a lot going on, but then you see he pulls back on the background here, you know, so you can just see the intensity of this moment with these two characters. Very cool stuff. I love the knockouts too, like in all these old comics. That I'm definitely going to utilize that. This is a cool page, like this whole like sequence of events. The shading and stuff is fun and pretty cool. Here we go, another cool one. And then this is where some people come through. Oh yeah, and then later on, I think Bishop. Now look at that. That's like amazing. That's really cool. So I don't know. It's cool. The paneling is a little bit crazy at some points, but maybe a little bit too much. Let's see. But there's a lot of cool stuff. Even though it's crazy, he does give a lot of room, you know, to tell the story as well. And I mean, this is a little too busy, but it's cool. It's really cool. Anyways, but the impact in here, like, what's the impact parts? I mean, it's still there, but it's like even that part right here where I was showing the knockouts. I don't know where exactly it was, but like the knockouted part kind of stood out to me because it was flat color. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is gonna be a long one, guys. Sorry. Anyways, there was those parts I was showing you where there was like a knockout, just one color thing. That kind of stood out because everything else is so busy, you know. Even in this cover, everything's kind of too busy. Luckily, they did a good job with the coloring. I mean, they all have the same colors and stuff. And then this white in the background helps pop that out, and Bishop and whatnot. Pretty cool. I love the cover. But yeah. Another Groo one. I guess I don't need to show you that because I just went through Groo. Alita, one of my favorite comics of all time. Alita, Battle Angel. I mean, this storytelling is beautiful. The art is beautiful. Now this is like a very dynamic storytelling, but used a lot of very simple panels, you know? It's very well done, in my opinion. But again, very simple panels, you know? Look at that. I mean, everything's very clear what's going on, for the most part. And I mean, look at this little sequence. I love that. Establishing stuff. I don't know. It's not all established. Everything kind of establishes to a certain degree, but let's see what else is there. There's that picture from the front. Pretty cool stuff. Be cool to see some panels of her fighting or whatever. See if that's in here somewhere. But you know, you got these nice quieter moments. But then because there's enough quiet stuff and the drawings on the quiet stuff are exciting enough, you want to keep reading and stuff. Here we go. Here's some action. Crazy action. They ripped off his arm. But that stands out. That's like a big moment now because everything else was quiet for a while, you know, and now you're going to see like the overwhelming like craziness and scariness of this big character, you know, because it was quiet for a while and then he got his arm ripped off, and it's a big moment. It's important. And yeah, this is pretty gruesome, guys. But then you get into these action things. Now the action is going crazy, and this is like really cool. Lots of movement, and you're seeing her fight this big, overwhelming dude. And like, look at that. It's beautiful work, and still the paneling is pretty simple, you know. So you know it can be done when you pull back. Now here we go is like no holds barred. Todd McFarlane going crazy with details. This is like every page is a splash page. It's sideways. I do love this page. Pretty cool. You get to see McFarlane's version of Liefeld's characters and stuff. X-Force. You know, really cool. I mean, McFarlane did do some cool panel work, I think, and he's not going too crazy, you know, with some of this. It's actually somewhat simple in some ways, but you know, it depends. I mean, it's kind of a fine balance at times, you know. Like this whole sequence with him getting poked in the eye is great. I love it. And I guess he had, in that little spot right there, he had to do some things to change this, actually, that it was too strong for Marvel. They didn't want it, they had to make it look like he obviously poked him in the eye with the sword, but it comes out that his eye's just bleeding. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but he had to do that. Like, Marvel made him do that. I think this is actually, I feel like this is actually McFarlane's last book in Marvel. And then look at this crazy splash page. It's pretty awesome, actually, I think. I'm pretty sure this is his last. I might even say, yeah, I hope all you Todd fans will stick around, even with Todd leaving. So, what's it say? Got some special events lined up to entice you. Next month we've got Wild Story. So yeah, isn't that crazy? And then they started Image. Hey, speaking about Image, so here we go with Max. And I mean, look at this paneling. It's super creative, but maybe a little too much, you know? I mean, that's simple. I mean, I love the art, but this works. This stuff kind of works, you know? Some of it works better than others. Then he's got like these painted portions, which I always thought was cool too. But this, you know, this part's okay. I guess it shows some time passing or something. I don't know, but it's a little bit much. Like, what's a panel and what's not? Like, is this really doing anything? I guess it shows time passing. It's kind of cool. It's definitely creative. And then we got some like simple, like indie style many panel page right here, which I think is cool. That's actually very effective. I'm not saying it's not effective. Maybe it is very effective. I don't know. I haven't read these in a while. This is cool. But I mean, look at this. It's going crazy with the panels here, and there's an arrow, and it's fun. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to knock them. I do like doing this kind of stuff too. It's fun. And I may still do this kind of stuff in the future, but look at this whole big 2 double page kind of spread, but it's not. It's pretty cool. But I think at this point I was probably almost a little confused, but that storytelling is pretty clear. It goes this way, then this way, but this is like all just something else, and then it goes this way, so I don't know. It's interesting. It definitely helps bring you into like this kind of almost psychotic feeling, or you know, crazed feeling, or like I don't know, just this feeling of things not thinking right and not feeling right. And so I mean, it's there for a purpose. It is purposeful. And maybe these aren't the best examples too. This is a really cool thing. But it's alright, it's good. Look at this little guy. Mr. Gone. It's interesting. I mean, the subject matter does make more sense, you know. To do something like that. I mean, this is her name April or something? I forget. Her just sitting down and this little guy, but you don't realize he's little till you just see this is her bum. Anyway, but then this is where I love Sam Keith even more. Like, I love the old Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine, and the paneling is a little simpler, and you know, he's focusing on some details. You're really seeing like some kind of Frazetta and what the heck is his name? The guy did like Swamp Thing and whatnot. Why can't I think of his name? It's so annoying with all the detail. Anyways, he's definitely doing some, you know, experimental stuff, but it's pulled back a lot. Like, this stuff is a little, I don't know, a little less distracting, I guess, you know. I mean, look at all those hairs, all that detail. It's kind of cool. I like it, you know. I think it's great storytelling. I like better than some of the stuff I see in the Max that's a little bit too distracting. Plus, I love the newsprint. Can't get enough of the newsprint. But yeah, I don't know. Look at that. That shot's amazing. Cool rain, cool dark stuff. So yeah, anyways, that's just a little show and tell. So here we are back to Hazyland. And sorry this video's gone so long. I just kind of got on a obviously big tangent, but hopefully it was fun for you guys to check out some stuff and what not. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. I'm really excited. Again, we're talking about, you know, paneling, establishing shots, perspective, environments, and things like that, and how I'm excited for Greener Grass, because I think I'm going to be able to play a lot with that kind of stuff, and hopefully, you know, it's a great exercise to learn the full potential of storytelling with these elements, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited about, and I'm probably going to start pages really soon. Like I said, you know, I got a million projects in the works, but this one's the only one that's got pretty much a finished script. I'm just going to break it down into pages and panels, possibly today, if not tomorrow, and start working on pages as soon as, you know, I got to get this lizard brain cover done, you know. But I might kind of go back and forth. Sorry it's taking forever to get to the lizard brain thing, but it's an involved cover. And I'm going to have to color it, and it's a little daunting. I really love how it's coming out, but it's a little daunting. And I don't always have, like, I can only work on it when I can work on it, which is basically the mornings. You know, I do a lot of my comic work at work, you know, during lunch and stuff. So that has to be like writing or sketching or concept drawing or something like that. You know, I can't, I mean, I suppose I could, I do have this thing on a board for a reason, so I could bring it. But sometimes I know that the day isn't going to go in a way that I have time to, like, or I can carry that around, like, or I'm going to be able to be in my car and draw, and it's like kind of cramped in the car. I mean, I can bring it. I probably should. Maybe I'll do that next week. And, you know, we'll see. So, anyways, guys, plus if it has been snowing and raining a lot, so it's potentially could get damaged, so that's another thing. So anyways, long-winded as this is, hopefully you got something from it. I really appreciate you guys sticking around, and I hope you're having a great weekend and getting a lot of cool comic work done. And yeah, Day 59 signing off. You guys are awesome. Peace out.